And we are live. Hey everybody, this is Johnny Wu here with MDI. Once again, we're doing this new interview, a weekly interview. This is our 11th time. And today we are very fortunate to have a filmmaker and an actress, one of my good friend and talented person, Pauline. Pauline, would you like to tell everybody who you are and give you a little intro about who you are and such?
Yes, first of all, thank you very much for that lovely intro. Thank you. My name is Pauline Nowakowski. I am a producer, a writer, director, actress. I do a little bit of everything. And I started about eight and a half years ago with the whole independent scene. It was something that just sort of I stumbled on Facebook. And someone told me to get on Facebook, and I said, no, I'm not that kind of person. I don't want to share all my stuff. And, who knows, knowing now that the way I'm on it every day. But anyway, they said, get on Facebook, because I didn't have like a lot of things to do. My kids were all grown and out of the house. So they said, get on Facebook and you'll find something to do. And I did. I saw somebody advertising, they needed zombies. And I love zombies. So I thought, well, what the heck? So I went, and that was my first time at the Horror Hotel. I met Sean Michelle, I met Christina, and Ray, and they kind of took me under their wing, and they said, you should start acting, you should start doing this, you should go to the mixers for the Greater Cleveland Film Commission. And I start doing all those things and taking the classes, and I met a ton of people. That was back in 2012. Then in 2013, from 2012 to 2013, I started taking classes. And I was acting a little bit, but not as much as I wanted to. So then 2013 rolled around, and I had gotten on a few 48-hour teams. And but I really wanted to act, and I wasn't getting parts like I was hoping to do, and I really wanted to show off my chops. So I decided that I was going to start my own production company. And that way, that would give me the opportunity to have a little bit more control on the writing, have a little bit more control on the team itself, and have some opportunities to act and kind of like shine a little bit. So that's when I started. 2013 was Dark Horses Productions. And it was really easy getting people to join the team. I had a couple different directors. I had Graham Hawes. I had Kevin Taylor, Julie Simon, and then most recently it's been me and Chrissy and Scott have been pretty much like the core. Joey Ruffin, we've got probably like a good 8 team members that have stayed on since 2012. But yeah, we've been pretty busy. I've enjoyed it. I enjoy the community. I can't think of anything else I would rather be doing right now than being creative. And I started when I was 50, and so now I just recently turned 60. So yeah, it's been a great ride.
Wow, that's pretty cool, pretty cool. So before I continue, I want to let everybody know right now I'm testing a new wireless microphone. I just got it today, so this is what I'm using right now. It's kind of cute. It's kind of white collar one I requested for. You can put a DSLR camera and then plug this in the top and a hot shoe and then and the magnet into it.
Oh, that's cool. Nice.
And then I have a mic. You can use it. It's like the Rode wireless Go mic. Mm-hmm. But this is cheaper, and there's a connection for wired cable, a lav mic, or you don't use it. So if everybody cannot hear me, no, don't blame me. Blame this thing because it's their fault. So we'll see what happens. So let's continue on because we already got lots of questions here already lined up for you. So I'm gonna go through the thing, and so before I find the question, what is the most complicated project you have worked with?
The most complicated project. I don't know if the word complicated is the right word, but the most enduring would have been Desperate Measures. That was something that I wrote like years and years ago, and it was only supposed to be a little teeny tiny 5-minute short for a demo reel. And I kept putting it on the back burner, and then I kept going back to it and extending it. And then finally, like 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to kind of like learn how to direct. after watching everybody else, and everybody else would, you know, would direct all of our Dark Horses productions. So I thought I would try it. That was really hard to be the main character and direct. So what I did is I had Scott Morrison, I had Chrissy Klorick, and Julie Simon were all assistant directors, because there was some really tough emotional scenes that I needed someone to help me through those scenes. And they did a great job. We actually won quite a few awards on that short film. So that one was the most hardest, is trying to direct, be a main character.
Mm-hmm.
That was, for me, was challenging, especially my first time out the gate.
So would you prefer to be an actor or the director or the editor or the producer? Which one you prefer more?
You know, I like it all, but I really prefer acting.
Acting?
Yeah. I mean, that's the whole reason why I started Dark Horses Productions, because I wanted to act more.
Okay.
And the only reason why I'm learning all the other different aspects of filming is because I don't want to run into a situation where I don't have a sound person. So, because that's happened already to me. So what I've done is I went out and I bought sound equipment. Some of it was used, some of it was new. And between you and Joe Winans has helped me learn how to use the Tascam. So worst case scenario, I can get by. I'm not the best sound person, but my neighbor, Daryl White, who has went from PA to actor to helping with sets. Now he's learned how to do sound for over the last 2 years.
Oh,
so now, since he lives across the street, he uses the sound equipment. He's been practicing, so he's gotten so much better.
Great.
So recently I've learned how to edit. I've taken class with you, because there's no point of filming if you don't have an editor. So that was the reason why I wanted to learn how to edit.
Yeah.
I have a great team, but sometimes they want to move on their own. You know, they're like baby birds, and they want to leave the nest. And so I get it totally. So I just have to make sure that I know a little bit of everything, just in case if I'm stuck in a situation.
Yeah, I know how that feels. You know,
yeah.
Every time you have an intern or somebody work with you, and then they learn a lot from you, and then they go away. They fly out of the nest and create their own group of people.
Right, but then, I mean, for at least for me, and I'm sure you feel the same way, there's a sense of pride when you see team members that, you know, who started with you, and they didn't know a whole lot, and then they were like watching and they learned, and then they decided they're like, and it's funny because most of them have come to me and said, you know, please don't be mad, but is it okay if I'm like, yeah, no, it's all right, you know, and it makes me feel good to see them succeed.
That's good. So we got a few more questions here. First of all, Samantha Aiken, say hi to you.
Hello.
On Facebook, we have about 10 people earlier on Facebook, and YouTube we have another 10, so about 20 people so far.
Thank you.
Scott Morrison, say hi. He likes your image on the pictures. Bretito Ashworth, Victor, I don't know who she is, but it's there. Joey Ruffin is here. Ron George is making fun of you or making fun of me. So either one.
I'm making fun of me. I look scary woman today. I was out in the yard all day gardening, and my hair needs a haircut, and I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, it's okay. This is
all right. This is it. Doesn't get any better.
Exactly. So Ron does have a question. He asks, what project are you the most proud of that you have done so far?
Wow. I gotta say there's quite a few of them, but if I had to make a list, I would put Desperate Measures on top. Mm-hmm. And then the next one is The Lingerers, which we filmed last year. And we started editing it together because there's a lot of work to it. And then, you know, the whole virus started and the stay home. So it kind of was put on the back burner, but it will get finished. I promise you that. There's not been a project that I've worked on that we have not finished. And that one I'm really proud of too, because it's something completely different than I've ever done before. You know, there's a couple other ones that we worked on. Julie Simon helped with. It was Cleve and Vessel. Those were fun ones too. You know, every film, at least for me and the team, I feel like we work a little harder and we get a little better. So then I'm proud of that one. And then we do another one, then we work a little harder, and then we get better. And then I'm proud of that one. So, but I think the most is Desperate Measures and then Vessel.
Yeah, the more you work on it, the more you get better and better. So you get prouder about the last project you did.
Yeah. And I can't wait to everybody see The Lingerers, because Ron did some awesome work in that film.
That would be nice. So we have a question here from, before I ask this question to Pauline, anybody watching this right now, if you have any questions, type in right away. I will eventually go through them. I know I have already like 7 or 8 questions here for Pauline, so we're going to keep going. Joey Ruffin had asked this for you. Pauline, what are you most happy of about Dark Horses?
What am I most happy about?
Yeah, happy of about the Dark Horses.
That people want to work with Dark Horses. When I first started Dark Horses Productions, I wasn't sure if anybody wanted to work with me because nobody knew me. And then the first couple projects were a little rough because I didn't know what I was doing, but I was grateful to have people on the team who did know. So I kind of like let them do what they needed to do, and I sort of stood back and I watched. And then as we did more projects, the more I learned, the more control I became of the project. To have the people work with me and they're excellent and they're loyal, and they come on a set and they work hard, but they have fun and they walk away and they come back. So that's what I'm most proud of, is that they always have something good to say. And I always ask after we do a project, if there's something that they didn't like or I could have done better, let me know, so that way I can work on that for the next project. I don't want anybody walking away saying, God, I really hated that and I'll never work with her again.
I understand. So Scott Morris, I got a question for you. Will you ever shoot another film in a cemetery after what happened during the 48?
Absolutely. Actually, I want to get brave and do one at night.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
you're probably gonna get a lot of ghosts and spirits.
Well, the cemetery that we filmed at, what did we film there? Oh, we filmed, and actually it wasn't even a horror movie. It was Late Bloomer. And we went there and we had I think it was the summer 48 a couple of years ago. And it was a woman who lost her husband. So, and we did this all guerrilla because we just had to. So everybody's all dressed up. We went to this old cemetery that's over 200 years old, very private, very hidden. And we were able to make it work. And, so if the neighbors were around, I mean, it looked like a funeral. So we got there. And, I kind of looked around and, I'm old school. When we would go to funerals, you're supposed to walk around the graves, not over the graves. You're not supposed to be putting anything on top of the headstones. Well, there were some people putting coffee cups and stuff on the headstones and walking on the graves. So when we filmed for a couple hours, we went back to my house for the second location to film the rest of the dining room scene. And when the cards were given to our editors to edit, there was nothing there. Oh. And when all the still pictures were gone and anything on some people on their cameras that they took was all black, and it was no pictures. So we finished the scene that we had to do in the house. Then we had to call all our extras and say, you got to meet back at the cemetery like at 6:00 before the sun goes down, because we have to redo the whole scene again. So we went back to the cemetery. We had sage, we had holy water, we had rosary, and we gathered it first and we asked for forgiveness for being disrespectful. And we did the sage, and then we just asked if we can get our footage and we'll get the hell out of there. And so we did. And we came home, we had all the footage. But it was interesting. But I definitely want to go back, but I want to do like a night scene. I think that
I want to join it at least for one night.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that too, because I'm like, well, with this whole, the new restrictions and that, I'm like, we got to do a lot of outdoor scenes. And I'm like, cemetery is kind of cool.
That's a good idea. I mean, I've been watching Travel Channel lately a lot.
Yeah.
And watching it, it's all these things about supernatural shows, programming, the paranormals and stuff, ghosts and spirit, aliens. So every time I watch it, it's like I want to be there. I want to be there. But then I'm like, I don't think I want to be there because I would get so scared.
Yeah. I don't think I necessarily want to see a ghost. I just want to use the location to film a ghost story.
Yeah, it's nice. Having a cemetery would be nice too. It increase your production value as well.
Yeah, we filmed during the day. This one, it looked it looked absolutely beautiful on the big screen. Cinematically, it looked beautiful.
Definitely. And Scott will be your DP for that.
Absolutely.
There you go, Scott. You got a job. So Tyler got a question for you. You have worn so many hats on a film set. What is your favorite hat?
I love to act. I love to be silly. I don't always get the opportunity to be silly. For the most part, I'm usually sad or depressed or crying. And that's okay too. But I would like, and then a couple times I got to be like a mean person, so that was challenging. But I've recently kind of dove into directing, and I really like that. But our team is so small, and when we write, it's usually only 3 of us. And when we write really well together. And it's kind of like we'll start like the skeleton of a story, and then one person will start seeing something else, and then somebody else will see something else. But by the time we're done, we all have the same vision, but we've all added a layer of flavor to it to make this beautiful story. So I do like directing too. Favorite though is probably acting.
That's always good.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. James Barney, say hi. Joseph Casolo, say hi. A bunch of people say hi. I won't be able to do it. Dr. Brusher, say what's up. So Ron just got a question for you. What would be your dream film to produce if you have an unlimited budget?
There's a story that's dear to my heart. If I had an unlimited budget, it would, it's called Estranged, and it's about 2 brothers who, it's kind of like that story from the Bible about the 2 brothers, and there's the one brother that left and then he came back home when the father was dying. But it's similar to that, but it's about 2 brothers, and they were all very close with their father, and it's the last 2 weeks of the father's life. And the one brother who's left for years decides to come back home, but for all the wrong reasons, and sort of drives out the other brother. But at the end, it all comes together at the end. But it's a story that I would love to do, but I definitely would need some capital to do it, only because cinematically, I would want some beautiful locations for this film, because it's so emotional that I would need to have that.
Well, it does actually connect to what Mr. Dr. Brushes asked right now. What character do you wish you could play as?
Somebody silly. So I would love to play somebody so silly that it's going to make people laugh. And we actually, Chrissy and I, before this whole virus situation happened, we were kind of on a roll there, writing some good material and coming up with some good projects. But they're usually very dramatic, and they're very emotional. So we decided we wanted to do something silly. So we sat down one day, and it's funny because we're such a yin and a yang when it comes to whether it's character or physical being. We decided that we wanted to do something like Laverne and Shirley or Lucy and Ethel, but then with the twist of Abbott and Costello, that slapstick funniness. So we wrote this short called I'm a Bunny. And we laughed the whole entire time when we were writing it, because visually we could see ourselves doing this. So it was going to be very small, just 2 characters. We were going to have Scott as our DP, and then we were going to have Daryl was going to be our sound guy. We had 1 location. So we had it all mapped up, and then I was going to do the editing. And it was like the week of the stay home, and we're like, what do we do it? Do we not do it? And we're like, no, let's not risk it. We'll wait. We'll do this when the time's right. So it's on the back burner, but Yeah, I would love to do something silly where people, I like making people laugh.
Sorry for my next project that you'll be involved. You won't be playing silly.
Okay, sorry. All right.
You have. I'm actually gonna make you cry again. So
All
I
right.
didn't realize that too. I'm so sorry. So I got more questions here, but before I answer those questions to you, I want you to tell me about your process. How do you make a project available? I mean, how do you start? How do you make it feasible for you to from producing, directing, acting, and all combining it together?
Okay.
Where do you start?
So project, for the most part, most of my projects I produced under Dark Horses. So when you produce something, you usually have to financially finance it yourself. So I look at my savings, and for a while there, I was doing a lot of extra work on the feature films. So any money that I was making on the feature films as an extra, I would put that money away and I would use it towards my films. So I wasn't really taking anything out of my pocket. So I would squirrel that money away, and I would figure X amount of people on my team. And then I would figure, first of all, craft services, because for me, I feel it's important that people are fed on set, and that, people who are eating, they're happy people. People who are hungry, they get tired, they're cranky, and I don't want that on my set. I want people who are like, hey, let's go there, craft services and this and that and the next. So I'll budget X amount of dollars, and I'll look at how many people I have on the set. Then I look at the team as a whole, and I say, how many actors do I have? And then how many crew do I have? So then I'll figure out, kind of like time-wise, who needs to be there. And again, it's about budgeting money. And then once I have that down, I'll if we already have something written, or if we don't have something written, I'll still go location scouting. That's the next thing I'll do. I'll go, and what I usually do is I take the genres from the prior 48, and I'll look at all of those, and I'll say, okay, if I got this, where can I film? If I got this, where can I film? So then I just start writing down those, and I go to locations, so that way, no matter what genre we get, I have a location to film for. With everything in place, it's going to be different.
Right.
Because I don't think it's going to be so accessible like it was before.
Yeah.
But I've been reading a lot online, especially like some of those Hollywood sites where they're suggesting and they're talking about filming, and the way to film with the social distance is still, you're going to have to look at different angles on how to film. It's not, you really have to start thinking out of the box. So there's a whole process to that, and then making sure that I have all the team members together. Once I have that, I put everything and I catalog it. So I'll have all of that, and I have email addresses, I have phone numbers. So everything's all about putting organization, taking one step at a time, until finally I have it all mapped out. And then I could put that to bed, and then we start looking at everybody's schedule. That's the hard part, of scheduling. So that's why I like to keep things kind of small. It's easier to work with a smaller group versus a large group.
I prefer working with large group. I don't know why, but that's kind of probably crazy for my part.
Yeah.
So also the other question, I always have this question in my mind, back in my mind, as being a female actor, filmmaker, how does it feel? I mean, women in film is very, very scarce. I mean, there's not a lot of women in doing filmmaking production part. Recently, I did see a lot of director as a filmmaker who happened to be a lady who's very well known, or a person that I somehow recognize as an actor. So how would you feel? How do you feel about this, in being the women in film, in collaboration? And do you feel like there's always something less advantage for you because you're not a man per se?
No, it's funny, since day one, when we would get on the stage, there'd be maybe one or two teams that were driven by women, and the rest of them were men. And then at the end of the day, when I'm standing next with the 5 top filmmakers, and there's me and my team, I'm pretty proud of that. So the fact that, and I'm standing with the best filmmakers out there, like Conrad, like Scott, like you, that's just to name a few, yeah, and just to name a few. And I'm like, you know, here's somebody who doesn't know anything about film, who's kind of like learned on the fly as I've gone, as we go through projects, and with the team that I have, we all really kind of work well together. Some of them know things about film. Some of us don't. Some of us will read about it. But, you know, we really try to we know what we like. And so we try to like mimic that when we make a project or put that on film. But I personally don't find any obstacles.
What about if somebody don't take you too seriously because you're not, you know, you're a female? It happened to me once in a while where, well, because I'm Asian, I don't get taken seriously because they don't think I know what, or because I'm living in Cleveland, I'm not in Hollywood, so they don't take me seriously because, you know, I'm not in LA.
You know, honestly, I don't really look at that, or I haven't had that approached, or I haven't had come across that. I guess I've been pretty fortunate. I think the fact that Dark Horses has been successful and our team has been successful is the fact that every project we do, whether, you know, outside of a 48, we finish a project. And even when we do a 48, we extend it so that it can go into film festivals. So it doesn't end there. So we're constantly evolving. We're constantly working on things to make ourselves better so that we can stay with everybody else that's in the race, which is why we're called Dark Horses. You know, we're in that race for the long haul. You know, we may not win, but we're going to come in, we're going to finish the finish line.
Yeah. So Aaron Cabrera, I have a question for you. He's actually watching on YouTube and Facebook also. So did Wayne, a couple other people. When was the moment you said, I love movies, I'm going to be a part of them?
Wow. Probably when I was a kid. I loved watching movies. I loved watching the old black and white movies. I loved the big dresses. I loved the romantic movies. There's so many actors and actresses that I fell in love with that I thought, oh my God, I want to do that. I don't know how, but I want to do that. And the fact that I'm doing it, but I'm doing it at a different level. It's not the big Hollywood films, and I'm okay with it. I'm very happy, right, doing this and being right here where I'm at, because I'm leaving a little piece of me in each film that I do. So when I'm gone, there'll still be those little pieces of me out there.
Your legacy.
Yes, my legacy is out there. So hopefully people can laugh and people can cry and people will say, yeah, she was crazy and she was fun and she was hardworking. And hopefully they'll say good things about me. But yeah, since I was a kid, I loved movies. Always loved movies. Loved the stage. I've been performing since I was in the 3rd grade, singing plays, piano, cello. I was in choir, I was in the marching band. I was always very active. Music and film and stage was always part of my life.
I've done similar, but I never want to be in front of the camera. I like to always be behind the camera.
Oh, I like it. You know, and I'm not blonde. I'm not skinny. I'm not pretty. I'm not young. I'm not any of those things. But I can perform.
Yeah, definitely. I've seen so many of your performances. Pretty good.
And thank you. And I love doing that. I love the challenges. I love being challenged and becoming someone who I'm not. To me, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right, got more question here for you. Tyler asked this question. You're such a great actress. How much of your skill comes naturally and how much from training?
It's a combination of both. I've had some really great coaches. Laura Nichols, Christy Michelle have been phenomenal. Lauren Nichols, I can't say enough about. She's taken me to a whole new level as far as it's not just looking at a page with words and a script. It's taking that script and breaking it down and analyzing it and then taking one page of a script and then figuring out what happened to that person, to the page before and the page after, without having those pages in front of you. So a huge part of that is the training, and I can't wait to get back to classes again because I do miss that. I love the improv. I've taken improv classes with a couple different people, and I'm sorry that I can't remember everybody's names, but that was a lot of fun because that keeps you sharp and it keeps you like on top of your game. The other thing is life situations. You know, again, I just turned 60, so I have a lot of situations to pull from.
Experience.
Yeah, so it's a combination of both.
Mm-hmm. That's cool. So Wayne joined us a little bit. He was in his son's birthday party celebration. So he got a question for you. He's you've been taking film editing classes with Johnny, longest of his current students. What is the most important, memorable lesson you learned from him?
Use your mouse. Because I am horrible. I'm like, I want to use this, and he's like, and I'm like, what? And he goes, mouse, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, that's the most important question or the most important thing he's always telling me is use your mouse. Use your mouse. It's
gonna be faster too. Instead of 2 fingers trying to go to the mouse pad.
Yeah, and you know, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to editing. I like try to multitask. I try to watch my TV show like with this eye, and then my laptop's on my lap, literally on my lap. I'm not at a desk, so I am not using a mouse, but then I find myself not being able to do certain things. So then I got to move to the table. So yeah.
My cat
I do miss my classes because you were keeping me on top of my game.
Good. I'm glad. So Scott Brushes, I'll have this question for you. If you have to drink prop wine in a scene, what would it be?
If I had to drink prop wine?
Yeah, prop wine, set wine.
Oh.
Obviously, you're not gonna drink alcohol for real, right?
Grape juice, Welch's grape juice. I like grape juice.
Yeah, that's good. All right, Ron just had this question for you. This is kind of interesting. He's asking, during the filming of the Lingerers, you seem very concerned on set about getting blood everywhere in the bedroom scene. Please tell us about your first blood splatter experience.
Yeah, I freaked out a little bit, only because I just had that bedroom, all the wallpaper. I had someone come in and they professionally removed all the wallpaper, and then they painted it, so it was this real pretty bright yellow and white ceiling. So it was all yellow and white and very bright. And Ron's like, don't worry, we're not gonna get any blood like all over this. He goes, no, I'm just gonna flick it, little flicks. I'm like, okay, so I'm cool. So I'm in the back of the room watching the scene where we have Chanel on top of Julie, and she's stabbing her. And as she's stabbing her, Ron's underneath the bed and he's flicking. So every time she comes up, he'd flick, but yet it was hitting the back of her hand, and then it was shooting up on top of the ceiling, which nobody noticed during that scene. And she's like, you know, and I'm yelling, okay, now make noises like you're a wild animal. Now laugh. And, you know, I'm like giving her all these directions. And then she was doing so good. And I was so in the moment watching her perform because she was acting like this crazy wild person that she was supposed to be doing. And then I yelled cut, and then we turned the lights on, and all of a sudden Joanna goes, real casual, and like with this monotone voice, yeah, there's blood on the ceiling. And I'm like, what? And I look, and there's like blood on the ceiling. Chanel's covered with blood. I'm like, okay, it's all right. Nobody move, nobody leave this room, get garbage bags. And so they were really good though. I mean, that was the only place we got the blood. And then I had to like talk myself down a little bit because I've never really worked with blood before. So I had to talk myself down. I'm like, it'll come off. If we have to paint again, it's not a big deal. And then I go into like the hallway, and then I see Ron kind of like his hands underneath the sink, and I just see blood just running. And I go, did you cut yourself? And he goes, just a little bit. I was stabbed when Chanel was bringing down the letter opener. It hit him, but it was actually the fake blood, but it just nipped him a little bit.
Oh.
But it was really the fake blood, because I was like freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, did you really get hurt? He goes, no, no, no. But yeah, I did freak out a little bit because, like I said, I've never really worked with blood before. This movie was completely different from anything I've done before. So there was blood everywhere. So between that house and then we filmed at Randy's house, there was another bloody scene where we literally like slit Randy's throat, and Ron put like a tube and sort of like this wound. And then when we yelled action, Randy does his thing, and then you see like him taking this letter opener across his throat, literally just cutting himself. Huh. And you see Ron has this whole apparatus where it's just blowing blood. There was blood going everywhere. I mean, it looked so good. I can't wait to finish this.
Ron always complain about me because he felt like I don't have lots of blood in my movies. I try to avoid blood because I just don't like to see them.
Well, there's only a couple scenes in here with blood, but they're super graphic and they're super bloody. And I'm hoping people aren't going to be really turned off by it, because we've done a film before which I think we pushed the envelope on it. Mm-hmm. I think we went too far and people didn't like it at all.
So Rolling Stop Films, he's been following us every week now. Thank you. He got this question for you. Top 3 favorite movies.
Night of the Living Dead. I love zombies. That movie still scares the crap out of me. There's something about that black and white movie, and it just creeps me out. Second movie is Bridges of Madison County. I think it's beautifully filmed. I love the story, and there's some scenes in there that I still can watch to this day, and I still cry because it's just, they're super powerful. Plus, I love Meryl Streep and Clint Eastwood. I mean, come on, it's Clint. So, yeah, so that one. And the third one, gosh, there's so many movies. I would have to say the third one would be The Wizard of Oz. Oh. The Wizard of Oz. That's that movie. The first time I saw it, and watching it every year, it brings back memories of my childhood. It brings back memories of my mother, my father, the holidays. So yeah, those are my top 3.
And then what about genre-wise? What genre do you like the most?
Horror.
Horror, okay.
I do like horror. Isn't that sick?
It's okay. No, Scott Brusher said they name a wine after you, Dark Horse Wine. So you matter.
Yeah, you know, we do drink that, and I always keep that in the house. But we're dark horses. We're plural because one horse can't ride alone. You have to hold the whole pack. So that's why I call it dark horses, because I can't ride alone. I have to ride with the team.
Yeah. It's a collaboration
process. It definitely is. I could never do anything by myself.
It'll be very difficult. Like Scott experienced it this past weekend all by himself. He just couldn't handle it. Just kidding. He's having a hard time to log and to carry all the gear from one point to the other. That was a lot of carrying around for him. He actually likes your list too. So James Barney got this question for you. Being an older actor coming into the scene and loving it as a child, do you feel we strive even harder because we started late in life?
Yes and no. I think for me personally, starting later in life has allowed me the freedom to really do what I love. Financially, time-wise, my kids are older. So you know, when you're younger, you have, you know, all those financial responsibilities because you have children and you have all those things that you have to take care of first. So I would have never been able to do this if I was younger. But like I said, I didn't start doing any of this until I was like 50, 52. So it allowed me to really kind of embrace this. So I am playing a little bit of catch up.
You're catching really fast too, though, by the way.
Yeah. I've been really, really lucky. I mean, you know, I don't know why, but I've just been really lucky and very fortunate.
I think because we also in a very nice community, Cleveland, Ohio, we have really nice filmmakers that really help each other out.
Yes.
We're competing against each other, but at the same time, we actually try to help each other too.
Yeah, most definitely. That, you know, and that's the one thing I have not come across anyone who's been nasty or mean. Everybody's always been helpful. I mean, even from day one, when I went to my very first Greater Cleveland Film Commission mixer, and I went by myself, and I was really nervous. First, I wasn't going to go, and I'm like, you know, you just got to go. So I put up my big girl panties, and I went, and people came over to me, and they're like, hey, I saw you on Facebook, and yeah, you're going to love this. You're going to have so much fun. And everybody started like, hey, let's be friends, and blah, blah, blah. And then it just took off, and everybody's been so nice and helpful. And anyone that has cast me in their projects, thank you very much. I always appreciate that. And again, you know, when you're older, it's a little harder, you know, and they never pigeonhole me. So I like that I'm not being stereotyped or typecast.
That's good.
So I do love that as well.
Wait, you like being stereotyped, or you don't?
I don't. No, and that's the one thing. Like, those who have cast me don't stereotype me.
Okay.
They don't keep me like in the same little mold. You know, every character it's always been different.
That's good.
So I do love that.
That's good. Nick Molbach, also on YouTube right now, he has asked this question: what genre would you want to work in that might be different from your typical projects?
Comedy. We, when I say we, that means like the team and I and Chrissy, because we collaborate a lot. You know, Chrissy has her own team, and I have my own team, but we collaborate a lot. We work really well together, and Scott is right there with us. You know, that's what I love about this group, is that, you know, we each have our own little teams and our own production companies, but yet when we need help doing something, we all collaborate. You know, Alex Gressel's another one. He has his own, but when we need help, you know, he joins us whenever we put out the Batman signal out there, everybody comes running. So I do like that a lot.
Yeah, it's good. We definitely have a really good community. I mean, Chris is also watching right now with YouTube, Facebook as well. So anybody else, if you have any questions, feel free to type in there. I'm going to show some of the picture from Pauline's previous project. And Pauline, let us know the behind the story about this. You know, we can go from there.
Sure.
Do you see the picture?
Mm-hmm. Excuse me. So this was the very first Dark Horses production, 48, that I did as a producer and under my own team. This was called Road to Rivera. We actually did get acknowledged, and you'll see Ern there. Ern was our food fight guy, and he's kind of like he's on the bottom, the first, the blue shirt, white pants, and his face is completely covered. Okay. We had a food fight in my backyard. It was crazy, but it was so much fun, and it was so hot. But that was the first team that joined with me, and they were great people. Just great. So for me, I was really honored that I had so many talented people that said, yeah, I'll work with you.
Yeah.
This is our secret location. This location, I actually had to get liability insurance. I had to not disclose where the location was at or who owned it, because the guy didn't, it took me like 4 months to actually even get him to answer the door.
Wow.
But I was so set on getting this outside interior or exterior location for a film that I wouldn't give up until finally he answered the door, and then we had a long talk. So we never filmed inside, although I would love to get inside this place. But so this is a great location, and we actually won quite a few awards with this film. It was Vessel. And it was a lot of fun to film. We had a great time. Julie was our director, and this is our whole team. I think Scott Morrison is not in the picture because he took the picture, but this is the team that worked on the movie or the film that we did. It was a 48 called Vessel. And my neighbor, who is right above to the left of Randy, who's in the coffin, made the coffin for us.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, do you still have the coffin, or you throw it away?
No, he still has a coffin, because I was like, it was funny because he was like, he would watch me film all the time around the house, and he, like, one day he's cutting the grass and I'm cutting the grass, and he goes, "Hey," and he walks over and he goes, "So yeah, I always see you, like, filming and stuff, so what do you do?" So I start telling him, and he goes, "Well, I would love to help you some, whatever way I can. I'm really good with my hands. I can build stuff." And I'm like, "Okay." So I said, "Can you make me a coffin?" And he goes, "What do you want it to look like?" So I found a picture, and he made a coffin. So yeah,
That's
he
so
put
great.
that up for Halloween. Yeah, we've actually used that in a couple movies.
Now that you can use it for something else too now. Aha.
Yeah, yeah. This was on a set that we did. It was called, oh gosh, something time. I can't think of it. It was starring Roy. It was another 48 that we did. Julie was our director. This one had like 4 or 5 different locations, but this was a lot of fun. It had to do with the scientist who had to go back in time because he didn't realize what he did in the future was going to release this virus and was going to be killing people. And so he has to be sent back in time in order to intervene from that not happening. So that was our 48. This again was part of that 48. This is a secret agent who is going to be handing the deadly virus to another buyer.
This place is beautiful.
Yeah, we filmed at the House of Wills. That's when we did. Not Vessel. I can't think of it. Maybe it was Vessel. No, not Vessel. I can't think of the name of the movie, but we actually won quite a few different awards for this one. We had.
Is this a business place, or this is just a location?
It's a location. The House of Wills was an African American funeral home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Scott and I actually had stumbled on it. We were doing a photo shoot, and no, actually, I stumbled on it because I was doing a ghost hunt with some friends of mine. They're called Resident Undead, and they were like, "Hey, can you come and take some behind the still photos for us while we do our ghost hunt?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So when I went there, I was like, "Holy crap, I got to film at this place." So that's when I reached out to Eric. And at the time when we were there, they also had like these fire dancers that were in the back.
Wow.
I'm like, so we got their card, we got their name, because we definitely wanted fire dancers too. So, that location we actually made out. It was a lot of fun.
I definitely need to talk to you about this location though.
Yeah.
There's a fire player.
And there's the fire dancers that we actually incorporated. This is outside of the building of House of Wills.
Wow.
This is the very last day that we filmed at the office for, excuse me, Desperate Measures. It was a small group. I like working with small teams. So this is a small group, and we did Desperate Measures, and this is from the.
This is not a small group. I mean, I've noticed also there's you still have quite a handful of people, minimum. Yeah. And you have a lot of different people from all different sets so far.
This one here is from Late Bloomer. This was another 48 that we did. This is the cemetery scene. So it looked really, like I said, real, like a real cemetery that, nobody called the police on us. Nobody stopped us from filming because it looked really authentic.
No, you didn't do this as a guerrilla style, right? You did have permission to do everything there? We
did a guerrilla style.
Oh, you did a guerrilla style. Okay.
Yeah, we did a guerrilla style. And we, we got away with it because, like I said, it's a really small cemetery. It's like over 200 years old, so nobody goes there.
Huh. Interesting.
So I mean, it's a beautiful cemetery. It's very secluded.
Right.
This is Joey. I had to put this picture in here. This is at one of the sound stages that we used for one of our 48s, the soundstage had like 14 different locations, and I had everything written down because I wanted to put a plug in for the gentleman, but I'll put it on the page later.
Sure.
This location has a bar, it has a disco, it has a gym, it has a hospital, it has a morgue, it has a casino, there's a bedroom. I mean, there's like a ton of different locations in this one building. So when we did this 48, it was super challenging for us. It was probably the hardest one we had to do. There was like over 22 people on this team. There was 2 floors. We were going from one location to the next, but they were all in the same building, but we had to keep setting up. So it was a fun film, but it was definitely challenging to get it done. This is my first project that I did alone with my editing class with you, Johnny. This was called The Night Before Christmas. And yes. I was going to be the old lady, but I was like, how can I be the old lady and film at the same time? So I'm like, yeah, I can't get anybody. So I called Randy, who's always willing to do pretty much anything when it comes to filming. He's great. And so I told him what he needed to do. And we actually filmed this on a Sunday during the day. We started like at 9 or 10. And I used Cinefoil, that black wrap. And the night before I had blocked out all the windows in my house so that way no sunlight came in. So it looked like as if it was at night.
Nice. It looks very nice. I actually enjoyed it too.
Thank you. This scene is from The Lingerers. We're going through the directions before Chanel wakes Julie up from a scene that I don't want to give too much away, but she's sleepwalking. So I'm explaining to her, what her reaction should be, and when she wakes up from the sleepwalking. This is another scene from The Lingerers. We filmed at a wonderful church in Canton, Ohio. It was amazing, and the church itself. A friend of mine, Jess Hess, she purchased a church, and that's her studio. She lives there, and so I was following her on Facebook. She's also a photographer, and she does a different style of photography, but it's all beautiful and amazing. But when I was seeing pictures of her church, I was like, we got to film there. Yeah. So this is the scene where when I was talking about, that's okay. So this is the scene where, from The Lingerers again, where I was talking about earlier, where Randy slits his throat. So if you look really close, you could see the wound. Ron did a great job. This is from my second or third film that I did. It was supposed to be just a homework project for my editing, and it turned out really well. It's called the Strange Noises, and it's about 2 young men, teenagers, who have to dog and house at their grandmother's house. She's been rushed to the hospital, so they're watching the dog in the house while their mom is with their grandma. The youngest one doesn't like going to grandma's house because he gets a creepy feeling from it. And I did this because that's how my grandsons feel about my house. They think that it's haunted and something's in the attic. So I just took that story and I kind of flew with it. And we've been winning awards on this little film, so I've been pretty happy with it.
Yeah, and your grandsons did a really great job too.
Thank you.
Acting in front. I'm cutting the picture short because we also have a trailer I want to show. And plus, we have too many questions here still loading on my screen.
Oh, thank you.
You're popular, Pauline. You're popular.
I was really worried because I'm like, nobody's going to ask questions. Nobody's going to log on.
Yeah, they log on. They watch questions.
Thank you.
We have a consistent amount of people showing up too. So when you have this question for you, as a filmmaker, what is the area you want to improve? And do you have a plan to improve in that area?
Yes, I have lots of areas that I want to improve, especially when it comes to as a filmmaker. I really want to learn how to shoot better. I'm still very intimidated with my camera. I just am. I'm so intimidated with it. My old camera I feel very comfortable with, but it's, it's a T4 or something like that. But now I have the Canon 100 or D, whatever it is. And I'm so intimidated. It's heavy, it's big. And so I don't know it as well as I should. That and editing are two areas that I really want to improve on. And the other one is directing. When I started to direct, I was very excited about it. The Lingerers. The first day of set, it was like everything that I've learned went right out the window. And so thank God for my friends who stepped in, who could see on my face that I was like the deer with the headlights on, because I was like, oh, I have to direct. Oh. So Chrissy stepped in and she's like, okay, this is what you need to do. So then she helped pilot for the first location we filmed at an antique store. Then we cut for the day, we had lunch, and then I went home and I kind of like had the self-talk with myself. I'm like, you know what you're doing, get your act together, look at the script. So I prepared myself for the next day. And then from that point on, it was just really about taking control and knowing your story. So I want to get better at that as well.
That's good. Joey Ruffin got this question. Do you plan to do a full feature-length film, and when?
We actually did. We did. The Lingerers is a full-length feature film.
Okay.
So that's in post right now. I would like to do another one, but it was expensive. I mean, even though it was a small cast, we filmed for April, May, June, July. We filmed for almost 5 months, but we did we broke it up. We had a couple weekends one month, a couple weekends another, and feeding people over a course of 5 months of filming, locations. We paid for locations. Not everything is free. Costuming. I had a nun's costume, but it looked like Halloween-y cheapy. So I went and I purchased one that actually looked very authentic because I didn't want it to look cheesy in any way. So finances is the other. I want to retire from work soon. So I kind of want to have a little nest egg too, so I don't have to be a pan lady on the corner. So yeah.
Scott Brusher got this question for you. What was the biggest mistake you made on set?
Letting someone else take over my team. That was really difficult because I had people walk off set. I had people crying on set because I allowed someone else to take over my team. And then I was upset with myself. So that was the biggest mistake. I'll never let that happen again. I will not have anybody walk away crying or feeling bad from my set ever again. It was definitely a lesson learned.
Yeah, understandable. So Tyler got this question for you. You always seem to be involved in so many things. Where do you find all that energy?
That's a good question. I don't know. Right now, for me, I like being busy. And then I got to tell you, these last couple months have been really difficult because to be busy all the time and all of a sudden not anything, it was really hard. I must have eaten everything in the refrigerator and freezer. I've gained so much weight. I'm so glad you're only seeing my face right now.
I'm very much work from home all the time, and this is probably the longest time I haven't gone out, and it's driving me crazy now.
Oh my God. Even my fat clothes don't fit anymore. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I feel like Chris, what's his name? Chris, oh my God, the comedian where he's like, fat guy in a little shoe. That's what I feel like. Yes. So, but yeah, I don't know. I get my energy from being on sets. I get my energy, like I feel like I'm going to do this like one day. Hopefully I do a skit where I suck the energy from all the young people that I surround myself with, because I feel like I get energized by being around all the young people because they're so enthusiastic about what they do. And I feed off of that.
Yeah.
So I need you young people to feed my energy.
Hey, didn't you have a boyfriend like Misha in your set one time?
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, he fed my energy.
Yeah, he was giving you energy. So Wayne, I've got a question for you. You have some wonderful locations. How do you find them and secure them? Also, do you have to rent, or do they let you do it for free or for the fun of it?
It's a little bit of everything. So when I don't do it as much as I used to, because what I've found in the past is that, yeah, we get awards for the best location, but yet we don't win other things where I want to win. So we've kind of changed our focus a little bit, because when I look at those who win, like Misha and Conrad, they don't necessarily always have these big elaborate locations. They're about the story. They're about the storytelling and the acting. So I'm refocusing and changing some things. But as far as when I was looking at like all those locations, I get in my car and I throw the dog in the car, sometimes Mikey, and I'm like, let's go, we'll go for a ride. And I just start riding and driving around.
Yeah.
We'll take pictures, so that way I'm looking at some locations like the castle. I found that by fluke, and I like I said, it took me a couple months just to get him to answer the door. I wrote up a big letterhead. I had my logo on it. I had all my criteria on it. I had all the credits, so that he saw that I was a filmmaker. And finally, like I said, he opened the door, but he did not charge me, but he said, you have to have a couple things in place. And that was the liability insurance, the non-disclosure. I could not give his address out. I couldn't give his location out. The church, that was another one. I saw that on Facebook through someone posting something that she purchased a church. I'm like, holy crap. Reached out to her. There was a fee there, but she's trying to repair this. So I totally get it. I don't mind paying for a location if it's going to help add value to a scene.
Right. Yeah.
Some places will give it to you for free, but again, I think with this whole situation, I don't know how things are going to be moving forward and how willing people are going to be to locations.
We're gonna make this one a little bit longer because I got two more questions to ask you. Or do you want me to skip the trailer part of it?
Sure, it doesn't matter. We can show the trailer later.
I mean, you can put in a link in the.
I can put the link on there.
Yeah. So Scott Burgess probably want me to mention this, but that you married to him. Also, he commented that twice already, so I think he wanted me to make sure you clear that up.
Yes, for I think it was for a Ford commercial. Yeah. Scott was my husband, and it was so funny because that was a funny. You know what, Scott? We might have to share that link on this feed so people could see it. Definitely. But we had so much fun. We laughed so hard. And I had a football thrown in my head where it's like that kind of thing. Wow. We laughed. It was really funny. But yeah, he played my husband.
So how can people watch your film right now? On YouTube? Yes,
I have a YouTube, so you can go ahead and follow me there.
I will include that in the description on the YouTube page too, so people can actually check it out from there.
Yep. I don't have a lot of things on there because we still have like a lot of our films that are still going through the festival circuit. Yeah. But as soon as like something's done, like after a year and a half of playing out, then I just put it on the YouTube channel.
Just to let you know, this is the first time John had to be bombing the scenery. Look at that. This is the first time, for all the 11 interviews we had done with people, this is the first time he had to join up. Oh, not only put it on Facebook already. I'll push him down a little bit. There you go. So I know that you're going back again to filming 48 hours this coming June. How do you feel, and what kind of precautions are you thinking about doing to make it better? Because now we are living in a post-COVID-19 environment. Filming has become a little harder for most people. And I also read somewhere that said that you're not allowed to have kissing and making out scenes in the movies anymore because of what may happen. So tell us about how you prepare yourself for that.
So we've been, there's like a team of us that have been very active as far as sharing ideas, because we do want to film, but we also want to be safe on our sets, and we want to protect our actors and our crew. So I am doing a 48, the global, in 2 weeks, but it's a super small micro team. I think there's only like 6 or 7 of us on this team.
Okay.
So it'll be easier for me to manage and to control. And plus, those 6, 7 people are very responsible. So I know that you know, I went out and I bought masks, disposable masks. I bought, I have like 6 gigantic bottles of hand sanitizer. I have bleach wipes. I have bleach spray. I have, what else do I have? I'm looking at my little stack over there. I have like everything that you need. So I'm putting all that in place. We're also going to be practicing the social distancing. But I was also thinking about, because someone had asked on my post, they're like, I think we shared like what Georgia was doing. And then someone said, well, what are you going to do when there's like those love scenes? And I said, we're going to have to do like what they did back in the 30s when they were making films. You know, they were very G-rated, and they were very careful about what they showed on television and in the movies. Like, you never saw the couple in bed. You always saw them going into the bedroom, and then it's implied. So my thinking is, I don't think we've ever done a love scene, but if we had to do one, everything's going to have to be implied without having to have that physical contact. So, you know, we as filmmakers are going to have to just be creative. You know, that was the other thing that I was talking to a friend, I think it was Vern yesterday. We were talking about that as well. I said, you know, when your writers are writing, they're going to have to be very careful about what they write and how they write it, and keeping all of that in mind, all the safety features that we have to put in place now. So that way, when you get on set, it's not going to be becoming a problem, and then spending a lot of time how you're going to redo this scene because you forgot to put social distancing in it. I've been reading a lot where, like I said, I think it's like a Hollywood link, and what Hollywood's doing, and they're doing a lot of re-angling of things, so that way, like their cast members will still be able to practice the 6 feet, but you're going to have to, as your DP and the director are really going to have to work hard as far as different angles to capture certain things and being able to still tell a story without having that. It's definitely going to be a challenge, I think, for filmmakers. You know, you're going to be like, here's my biggest fear. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. I think some people are so passionate about filming and telling their story that they may cross that line, and then they're going to get chastised for it. And then you're going to have those who are going to follow the strict regulations, and then they're going to get chastised for it. So again, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But I just, for me, I have to keep it small, and I have to make sure that I do those guidelines.
Yeah.
And you know, we just have to be safe right now.
Definitely had to be safe and make sure. So, final question for you: what message would you tell any other aspiring filmmaker when they starting out? Since you starting, you know, acting, directing, producing, editing in late of your of the time, there might be other people, you know, maybe other people who want to inspire to become a filmmaker like you. You know, what kind of comments would you like to give to them, or, you know, to make them get better?
Start small. Maybe get on a team, join a team, and, you know, even if you're just a PA, and I shouldn't say just a PA, because a PA is very critical to a team. So if you start off as a PA, and you do that task and that job, and you watch and you observe, then move on to the next, you know, the next position. And then if you want to be an actor, start taking classes. I started with Christina Michelle and Ray, and they do a lot of cold reads. They do improv. They also help prepare you for monologues. So I started there, and then I moved on to Laura Nichols. So right now she's been my acting coach.
Okay.
But I would take little steps. You know, don't overwhelm yourself and like, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this and do this and do this, because then it becomes too much. You know, and you might try one thing and you don't like it, or you don't feel really satisfied with it, then move on to something else. You know, just there's so many different positions in filming that you're going to find your niche.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, surround yourself with all the good, great, talented people. So this way you get to learn from them too, right?
Yes, absolutely. And ask questions. Go to the mixers when they start having them again. And right now, even when we can't have the mixers, do these
virtual.
Yeah, the virtual meetings. You're going to hear a lot of ideas. You're networking. People who you don't know or knew before, you can say, hey, look, I like what that person had to say, that comment, and then become friends with them. So it's a great network. So if you're not on a network, start joining it now.
Definitely. Pauline, thank you again for being in my interviews of Mondays. And thank you everybody for watching this. Next Monday, we got Scott Morrison.
Woohoo!
So, probably join up there and make fun of him if you want to.
I love Scott.
Yeah, he's a talented photographer, DP too. So we have lots of talented people in Cleveland. So I'm going to hopefully get as many people as can interview on the Mondays, and hopefully you guys will tune in. Thanks again, Pauline, to be here.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.